Sit back and listen to this extremely interesting story. Sandy takes her husband's training to the next level. Sandy heard the car door close in the driveway and knew that her husband was home from work. She had arranged the chairs at the patio table so that Alex would be seated to her left. This would keep him from noticing the mark on the right side of her neck until she was ready for him to see. A couple of minutes later, Alex came out to join her. He sat on the chair to the left of Sandy and said, "Wow, Sandy, you sure are looking good for having the day off." He noticed that she was wearing a sheer white blouse and her short black skirt. He looked down at her feet and noticed that she was wearing black high heels and a beautiful thin gold chain on her bracelet. "Are you all dolled up for me, Sandy?" Sandy didn't respond and seemed to look a little distant. She lifted her margarita and took a drink. When she turned her head slightly to look at Alex, he noticed that her eyes looked a little glassy and tears starting to well up. "What's the matter, Sandy?" Sandy didn't answer, so Alex continued, "I went to see Dr. Reese today for a checkup. She said it was okay. Then I worked up the courage to talk to her about my dysfunction. Wait, Sandy, when we go to bed tonight, you'll think I'm a different man. The doctor prescribed me this drug, which she said would make me more excited and last longer." Sandy replied, "So you got the prescription yet? What it is?" Setting the prescription bottle on the table, he replied, "Yeah, I picked it up on the way home. This is what she said would work best for my symptoms." As Sandy looked at the label, he continued, "This should make it easier for me to get started without role-playing and dirty talk." Sandy replied, "That's fine, Alex, but I like role-play and pillow talk. We're not doing this just to thrill you. I don't want to give it up. You didn't really need to get it for me. I like to come up with naughty ways to keep you interested." Alex replied, "Well, Sandy, we can still do it if you want, but the drug will improve our communication and make our fantasies even better. You'll see, just wait until we try." Sandy replied, "Oh, I can't wait either, honey. I sure hope this prescription helps you. Would you like to take me upstairs and try it now?" Alex replied, "Doctor Reese said I would need to take the pill an hour before the chat to get the full effect." Sandy uncapped the prescription bottle and handed the pill to her husband. "Here, Alex, take this and go upstairs and take a shower. When you're done, come down here and get me." Alex went into the kitchen and took his pill with a glass of water before going up to take his shower. Sandy went into the kitchen and fixed herself another drink. She returned to the patio with her drink and thought about what she was going to tell Alex. After finishing her drink, she went back into the house just in time to hear the water turn off in the shower. Alex came down the stairs with a towel around his waist. It had only been 20 minutes. He looked into Sandy's big brown eyes and moved in for a kiss, then took her by the hand and led her up the stairs to the bedroom. Once in the bedroom, Sandy said, "Alex, do you know how Steve across the street is always trying to flirt with me?" Alex replied, "Yeah, he's kind of a dog, keeps telling me about different women he wants to hang out with." Sandy unfastened her skirt and dropped it to the floor. Now she was dressed exactly like she had been in front of the window that morning before Steve had come over. She was standing there in black high heels. Her transparent white blouse did not hang too low. She looked stunning and charming. Sandy continued, "Has Steve ever mentioned to you how much he wants to spend time with me?" "Actually, about a year ago at the block party, you were wearing your black one-piece swimsuit. Steve was pretty drunk, and he told me he wanted to swap wives with me for the night. I asked him why he would want to do such a thing." Sandy asked, "What did he say to that?" Alex replied, "Well, he kept telling me that he wanted to be alone with you since the day we moved in. Knowing he was in a cast, I asked him what his wife would think of the idea." Sandy started unbuttoning the front of her blouse and asked, "And how did he answer that?" Alex replied, "He said he would find a way to convince her. Steve said it would be worth it if you were with him." Sandy asked, "Did you like the idea of switching partners for the night?" Alex replied, "I'll admit that the thought of being intimate with Linda made me a little nervous, and the thought of you having Steve excited me as well. I think it was when we were role-playing in the bedroom and I pretended to be the neighbor." Sandy asked, "What do you think he would do if he saw me standing in front of the big window in the front room dressed just like I am right now?" Alex replied, "I don't know. I guess he might take that as an invitation. Why are you asking all these questions about Steve?" Alex could see the tears building up in Sandy's eyes again. She turned to her left and tipped her head so Alex would be able to see the mark on her neck. Then turning to face him, she stood there and looked at him. Alex moved closer to Sandy and looked at her neck. He felt a little sick to his stomach, and his heart started racing as he realized his sweet little wife had been with another man. Alex stuttering, "Please, Sandy, tell me you didn't do this with this," Sandy answered. "This morning Steve saw me in the window just like I'm standing here right now. A little later, while I was sitting out on the patio, he invited himself over. He asked me for a cup of coffee. I asked him to wait on the patio when I went in to get him some. While I was getting his coffee, he came into the house." Sandy noticed that her husband was beginning to worry. She continued, "I had asked him to wait on the patio, but he came in while I was pouring him a cup of coffee. He told me he wanted to see me take off my clothes. Alex, I felt so intimidated by him, I begged him to leave." Alex replied, "No, Sandy, don't tell me you spent time with our neighbor. What were you doing standing in front of the window, dressed like that?" Alex started it. He was putting on a show in front of his window, so I decided to tease him a bit to see how far he would go. "So you let him come here and be with you? I don't believe this, Sandy." "It wasn't like that, Alex. I was begging him to leave. I told him to just go home, and I would show him what he wanted to see through the window. But he insisted that I take off my top, so I did, thinking he would leave. But instead, he picked me up and carried me in here." Seeing Alex's excitement building, Sandy smiled at Alex and said, "He was going to force me, but once I saw how excited he was, I couldn't resist him. Alex, this is very embarrassing for you." Alex removed the towel. He was more excited than ever. He looked at Sandy and put his hand on her neck, covering the mark Steve had left. "Did he hurt you, Sandy? If he hurt you, I swear I will." Sandy cut him off and said, "He didn't hurt me, Alex. I was scared at first, but once he brought me here, my body took over my brain, and all I wanted was for him to be with me. I knew I couldn't stop him if I tried." Alex pulled Sandy's blouse off so it fell to the floor. He was so excited, and Sandy reached over to pet him. "Alex, look at your excitement. It's stronger than I've seen it in a long time. You're not upset with me for what I did. You just want to prove to me that you love me and want to be with me no matter what." Alex got rid of all of Sandy's clothes. Wrapping his arms around her, he held her tight. His hands slid over her. "I knew that sooner or later you were going to spend time with someone else. There are so many temptations. And when you are so beautiful and innocent, men always look at you the way they do," he said. Alex picked her up, and Sandy wrapped her legs around him, and they started kissing. "Sandy, I'm going to make it sound like you deserve to be talked to. You won't need anyone else when you see how good I am." He put her on the bed and lay down next to her. They kissed when Alex started teasing her. Alex whispered, "God, Sandy, I don't know why, but you look even more beautiful to me now that you've spent time with someone other than me." Alex continued to kiss Sandy and was soon pleasuring her. Sandy's body quivered as she reached pleasure. Alex continued. He lay down on the bed. His excitement was very strong. Sandy demanded to continue. "Be with me, Alex. I want to feel it," she said. Alex obeyed, and in a moment they were together. Sandy moaned, "Oh, Alex, you feel so different. It's like having someone new in me." Alex was working hard like he had never done before. "How do you like it, my little girl, don't you, Sandy?" he said when his satisfaction was near. Sandy replied, "Yes, Alex, I'm a bad, naughty little wife. Do you want me to be a naughty little wife?" "Yeah, baby," he replied. "I want you to be my naughty little hot wife." "Okay, Alex, I'll be a naughty wife for you. I'll do anything you want me to," she cried. Alex could feel Sandy reaching her pleasure as well, along with him. Sandy could also feel how long he was able to hold on. Soon they were both enjoying themselves. "Oh, Alex, do it, baby, be with me," she cried. Sandy fell for Alex while he was still working. "Alex, I love you so much, baby. I'll never do anything to hurt you, I promise you that," she said. Sandy lay down on the bed, breathing heavily. She looked at Alex, trying to determine if he was playing a part while they were together, or if he really wanted her to be open to others. "Alex, I can be with the others if you really want me to," she said. Alex didn't respond but stared at the ceiling. "Alex, if you want me to be a cheating wife, you need to tell me," she insisted. Alex replied, "You already did it, Sandy. Are you telling me you won't cheat on me again if I don't want for you to?" "Alex, it's not like that. I didn't go out without anyone with me today. He came here, and I could tell he was going to force me," she said. "Force? You two were showing off to each other in the window," he replied. Sandy replied, "You weren't here, Alex. I'm telling you he wasn't going to take no for an answer. I gave in to him because it would have been worse for me if I had tried to fight him off more than I did." "But you loved it, Sandy. You told me you couldn't say no after seeing how you saw his interest. Admit it, you enjoyed it." Alex replied, "I didn't like him coming into the house uninvited from the start, Alex, and when he told me to undress for him, I argued with him. I begged him to leave." He shouted at me to take off my halter top that I was wearing. I cried and begged him to leave. He scared me and I took off the top. And yes, once I was standing there naked in front of him, I got horny, but not because I wanted to. And when he carried me up the stairs to the bed, my body was betraying me because I was so excited, she explained. Alex said, I have to go over there right now and deal with Steve. Sandy replied, there are other ways to get even with someone, Alex. If you go after Steve, you'll just go to jail for assault. Trust me, we can come up with a plan for Steve. Like Sandy, a man comes in here and acts like he's our friend, and the whole time he's planning how he's going to be with my family. He replied. Sandy responded, you just never know what could happen, Alex. He did mention swapping partners to you that night at the block party. Alex replied, what are you talking about, Sandy? Even if we did, he'd still be one with me, and all this will lead to additional problems for our marriage. How are you going to feel the next morning, and you have to live with the knowledge that I was with Steve's wife, Linda? Sandy had never thought about switching partners before. Spent time with Steve today, and John helped her break her wedding vows last week. She lay on the bed quietly thinking about how she would feel if her husband was with another woman. Alex lay in bed and quietly thought that his wife had now spent time with another man. Will it be the last time, or will she soon succumb to the temptations of other men? He thought about how Janet, Dr. Reese, had examined him today, and he thought of that pretty little nurse who always seemed so interested in him when he saw her there. Finally, he thought about Steve's wife, Linda, and perhaps revenge for what he had done. Subscribe to our channel so that your second C, Gaff, doesn't cheat on you, and go ahead and listen to the next story, because this story is nothing compared to the next one. If you're under 18, don't even think about listening to the next one.